gay.
If somebody's gay and you're trying to sell records to girls, you don't want anybody to know they're gay.
We were instructed and schooled that we could not talk about the war.
Don't talk about the war. Don't talk about civil rights. Don't talk about gay liberation.
But perhaps the most sacred rule of all concerns girlfriends.
The most important rule really is be sexually available, apparently, to young girls.
Your boy bands are there to satisfy a certain market. You know, you're up and coming, pubescent teenage girls.
If you're 16 and you're the heartthrob, you probably don't want to go walking around with your, new cute girlfriend, or at least it's been proven that that maybe is kind of a negative.
The female fans, they have an idol, and they feel that they know you personally, and they feel that they have a chance to be with you personally.
When they buy that record and they get that poster and they put it on their wall, you belong to them. When they listen to your music, they want to imagine or fantasize or whatever that they're with you.
They could scream all they want, but they weren't having me because my father wasn't going to let me have them.
You would always say that you didn't have a girlfriend at the moment, whether you did or not, because that was the image that you were portraying.
You have a girlfriend?
No.
Would you tell me if you had one?
No.
And it kept the door open for girls to think, I'm going to marry him one day. I'm going to be his girlfriend. He's waiting for me.
All these rules are designed to uphold a childlike fantasy of the perfect boy and sustain the magic of a little girl's first crush.
You want some sort of idealised Prince Charming kind of figure, don't you? And that, I suppose, that's what the boy band have got to provide.
You've got a kind of a safe, clear, culturally sanctioned channel for all these kind of emotions that you don't quite know what to call them yet.
Everyone has to sort of live up to a certain kind of standard.
Oh, I must be dreaming.
There it is, it's there, and if you break the rules, then you're more or less screwed in a way.
Some pop stars are never cut out to fulfill this Prince Charming fantasy. In 1997, Brian Harvey of E17 discovered what happens when you break a commandment.
He did say a few silly things. Maybe he just thought he could act up to the bad boy and do what he wants.
The lead singer of the pop group E17 has been condemned for saying it's safe to take the drug ecstasy.
I've done 12 one night, you know what I mean? Loads of them, I've been off it on them, do you know what I mean? Really, in the long run, it's a safe pill and it ain't doing you no harm. I don't see the problem.
You do have to, think about what you're saying, otherwise it just ruins your career.
Baby, if you got to go away, don't think I could take the pain. Won't you stay another day?
Can I ask my honourable friend what his reaction is to the comments today from Brian Harvey of E17?
The stuff Brian said did mess things up. You had John Major in the House of Commons saying Brian's name.
I would certainly regard any comments of that sort as wholly wrong.
Don't you know we've come too far now just to go and try to throw it all away?
Less than a day later, Brian Harvey was fired.
I remember the radio stations smashing up our CDs on air.
I don't think we've ever got over that as a group. I think there's things that stick, and I think that sticks. I think that stuck.
Baby, if you got to go away, don't think I could take the pain. Won't you stay another day?
despite the manager's best efforts, tensions always lurk beneath the boy band's shimmering surface. At some point, the boys will inevitably struggle to escape from Never Never Land.
Boy bands fall into the trap where they all want to grow up and they all want to become men, but they're kind of not allowed to because of what they are.
We create monsters. We create these monsters and they come back and they bite our heads off. You tend to lose control of them. They all want to be credible. When you hear them saying those awful words, we want to write our own songs, you just know. It's the beginning of the end.
This is not just a modern malaise. By the late 60s, the Monkees were beginning to tire of being pop's original puppets.
There was two Monkees. There was the Monkees that were singing the songs that were picked and chosen and, you know, by the powers that be. And then we had this Palace Revolt. And we garnered the power and the control over the music.
They were determined to write their own album.
Headquarters was the first album that this other group made.
Headquarters was the sound of a boy band in rebellion. Even 70s favourite Tartan Teddy Bears, the Bay City Rollers, flirted with the idea of writing stoner rock.
The guys in the band, Eric and Woody, that were writing the next album, they were starting to write songs about being stoned on the 11th floor and chasing dragons and all this kind of stuff. Songs that referred to, let's say, a more grown-up life.
For Les, the writing was on the wall. Time to get out of Bay City.
So I decided that I was going to leave. I was feeling very fearful and panicky because I couldn't believe I was actually saying it. What was I going to do? I was going to, wait a minute, I was going to give up this brilliant job and go out and take a chance by myself.
It's often at this point that the underlying tension between individual desire and group unity reaches a head. Someone inevitably makes a bid for freedom, and the boy band Fugitive is born.
There's always this member who decides that they are bigger than the band or need to go off.
It is a pressure cooker. It's a melting pot of madness, and after an amount of time, you need to be able to become a human being again on your own and stand on your own 2 feet.
Pressure will just build up until you're just like, do you know what? I don't want to be in this band anymore. I could do better if I was doing it on my own.
From Donny Osmond to Justin Timberlake, history is littered with these want-away stars. But there's one escape story that puts the rest in the shade.
I can remember with Robbie when it was just beginning to unravel.
Actually got nothing interesting whatsoever to say, which is quite a bit disturbing.
You could tell he wanted to break free. He just didn't want to be known as Robbie from Take That.
Why have we got to rehearse? You're making me do it.
Everyone was a bit pissed off with him because his hair was bleached blonde and he was acting like an indie act.
He took a car and drove all the way to Glastonbury.
I came down last year, I had a really good time and I thought I'd come down this time.
He arrived at Glastonbury absolutely hammered.
The beer's great.
He was getting a bit fed up of what he saw as a straitjacket.
The sort of band that I'm in, people are looking at me as if to say, you're not supposed to be here.
Everything Changes, the hit song by Take That, proved to be true to life after their singer Robbie Williams' decision to go it alone.
I think he got to the stage with Robbie where he just felt it was, well, he was like in chains.
If the desire to strike out alone doesn't spell the beginning of the end, then real life can quickly sneak up on the boy band and shatter what's left of the illusion.
Yeah, there was points in that band where it was hell, literally hell. You know, you will get on that plane, you will do this. No, you've not got time to have anything to eat, and it was like that. I was really struggling because, you know, I'd just become a father. My first boy was premature, and he was, you know, in an incubator, and, you know, and he weren't breathing himself properly. Can you go on Live and Kicking? Fuck off. No, I can't. I want to see if my baby's going to survive. I think I'd have ended up in the loony bin, I really do. And I think I just said, no, I won't, I can't.
When the dream is finally over, the boy band member will often struggle to readjust to the civilian world. Life after pop can be a shock to the system.
There is a period of time when all of a sudden the bubble bursts.
I was out in the cold by myself, so I had to actually start thinking, how do I now make money and support myself, my wife and my young son? So that took on a whole different realism for me.
When I left, I become kind of reclusive afterwards and stayed in my house for a long time. I was kind of happy-ish, I suppose, in a depressed way.
It gets a bit dark. I was just like, shit, you know, what am I going to do now? You know, and like, and yeah, so I kind of just decided instead of getting another job, I'll just drink myself stupid.
It's hard coming from a band into so-called reality again.
So is it ever really possible to leave a boy band past behind? How does the post-pop mind acclimatise? As time goes by, a level of acceptance seems to settle in.
Ultimately, I think every teen idol becomes an impersonator of themselves in some way.
I go into a bar or I go into a place and they're doing a karaoke. More often than not, they'll come over and say to me, "Hey Dave, will you do Daydream Believer?" Now, 20 years ago, I would have said no. But now I say, why not? I do the best Davy Jones anyone's ever seen. I could hide neath the wings of a bluebird as she sings.
I'm very, very proud of being in Five, to the point where if someone tries to, if I walk into a pub and someone says to me, "Oh yeah, it's that geezer from Five," I just look at them and go, "Sold 20 million albums, mate. What, you know, you've probably bought one of them, and the pint I'm drinking now, you've probably paid for. So go and be a dickhead somewhere else."
I think acceptance is a wonderful tool, and I'm glad my therapist taught me it, because it helps a lot.
Forever embalmed by their boy band past, many eventually return to what they know best. It's time to resurrect the group for the reunion.
Their songs, their hits, become part of everybody's lives.
The public demands it. They want you to give back. They want to see you one more time.
You are creating an emotion that the fan says, "You are mine, and I am going to be there for you the rest of my life."
Perhaps the boy band reunion is about the reliving of a special time and place in the past. A place where the boy band and fans gather together to worship at the altar of youth.
I've been entertaining almost the same audience for the last 40 years because they've been growing up with me. It's a kind of recreation thing. I'm a Doctor Who of my generation, so I take them back to those days and try and recreate that time, and it's good, it's really good.
We've done gigs and, you know, fans we ain't seen for like 12 years are there. It's just nice to feel wanted again.
It's kind of like someone throwing you a birthday party every night. You almost can't do anything wrong.
So when all is said and done, is the journey to boy band immortality